The most important ability in psychological work is self-awareness. And there's two pieces to that. One is being able to witness yourself and other. And the other piece is knowing what you're seeing. And so a lot of people might be awake and aware, but they might not understand what they're seeing. Maybe they don't know enough about ego defenses, for instance, to be able to see, oh, this pattern is, the pattern of reaction formation or displacement or denial or whatever. And so there are two pieces to really knowing the self. And right now we're just talking about the ego self. And that is being able to be aware and being able to direct the mind. That's another thing. A lot of people are dealing with monkey mind and they have no direction over their mind. And I hear this all the time. Well, I can't meditate. Well, if you can't meditate and you're not going to practice it and you're not going to come out of the slumber of unconscious programming, then you're kind of doomed to repeat your patterns of life over and over and over again, and there's no way out of it. And so I can't even stress that enough. A lot of people come to me and think that in psychotherapy there's going to be some kind of magic insight that's going to change everything in their world, and no, just like when you go to the doctor and you get the diagnosis of, like, you have a lump in your throat. Does that fix the lump in the throat, the diagnosis, the insight? No, it doesn't. Then you have to go on to the intervention. And I find that in the clients that I see a lot, really just go from insight to insight to insight to insight to insight to insight to insight, and they actually never do the work, so to speak, of actually changing the psyche. So what is the work, really? I think, as I said earlier, you're aware and you're noticing something. And when you notice that, then what do you want? So for instance, let's say that you have realized that much of your behavior is driven by shoulds. I should do this, I should do that, I should. Is that the way you want to live your life? By all these shoulds? Because that doesn't sound very intentional. Most of those shoulds come from parents, school, work, family, husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, children. But where's your desire? Where is your direction? Where is what you want for your life coming through? When is it coming through, right? And so I think that it's important to know and see, oh wow, I just made that movement, or I just said that word, or I just, took off today, did X, Y, and Z. But did I do that intentionally? Was that what I really wanted? And I find, so that's the first thing, is to notice that. Notice that you're not directing your life with your conscious intention. And that's kind of shocking to people. That's really, 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 really shocking when you begin to understand that how you run your day is mostly unconscious. Mostly unconscious. And as I said earlier, it's unconsciously driven by a childhood ego that is delusional in a lot of ways, in all of us. So regardless of whether you have a mental illness or not, we all have in some way a distorted, delusional ego structure. And so a lot of the work that I do is helping people sort of look at that and make changes to their ego. And so if you don't want to be directed by a should, especially somebody else's should, then the way to make that change is to be more clear with your own desires, your own needs, your own whatever, and then have enough awareness and enough direction and enough will to move yourself in that direction. Now, having said that, I know how difficult that is. That is massively difficult. It is much easier for us to live our lives in this unconscious slumber. This is the purpose of meditation, is to keep us awake and aware and intentional about as much of our life as we can. I mean, there's that. I mean, we can't be awake and aware all the time because so much of our system is run unconsciously. So a lot of what I try to do is fix the unconscious. It's sort of like we look at it, we bring it out, we're like, no, we don't want it to function that way. Okay, we want it to function this way. Okay, let's put that new piece of software that's scripting in your unconscious correctly. And part of what you want to do first and foremost is to be, I basically say there's 4 steps to learning all of this. The first step is unconscious incompetence, and that's when you don't know what you don't know. Then you get to a place of conscious incompetence, and so now you know, wow, I'm not doing this right. I'm doing all this, operating from all these outside shoulds, and I'm not really focused on what I want. And then you get to a place, and it's really hard, conscious competence, because you're kind of like this. Okay, I need to move like this, and I got to stay awake, and I got to stay aware, and I don't want to go by any shoulds, you know, and it's really hard. It's like riding a bike and trying to, you know, keep your balance. Like, my mind's keeping my balance, I'm keeping my balance, I'm keeping my balance, and then you fall, right? So that's the hardest part, and a lot of people fail there. And they don't go on to the next step, which is really easy at this point, and that's unconscious competence. And so now if you're thinking about the riding the bike analogy, you realize that, you know, you get on a bike and you just ride. You don't think about how you're riding anymore, you just ride. That's your unconscious competence. And that's what we're trying to do also with the ego, with the kinds of changes that we're trying to make. And so, for instance, in these shoulds, part of the reason why people do goal setting and visions and lifetime goals and annual goals and daily to-dos, etc. Well, not daily to-dos per se, but is so that they can drive their life. They can intentionally decide how they're going to create and live their life. And that's what I want for each and every one of you.